stars. Prince Harry could soon rule the UK if the Kate Middleton rumors are true. Love him or loathe him, he's not the worst option on the short list. Prince Harry likely met the 2013 birth of Prince George with some relief. For his entire life, he'd been the third in line for the throne, with his father Charles, the heir, and William next up. Though it was unlikely both Charles and William would die before their time, it was certainly not impossible. After George was followed by Princess Charlotte in 2015 and Prince Louis in 2018, Harry would have felt the heat was truly off him for good. As such, in 2020, he and his wife Meghan made the bombshell announcement that they were standing down as working royals and promptly upped sticks to California. And after learning how his family treated him and Meghan, who could blame him? But now, in the manner of Michael Corleone in The Godfather Part 3, Harry may be crying in frustration. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Annus Horribilis 2, Electric Boogaloo. As 2024 began, the royals seemed in a relatively secure position. Charles has comfortably settled into life in the top job and avoided major controversies, with the public having finally warmed, really, to Camilla as queen consort. William and Kate provide a dash of glamour at state functions, and while Harry and Meghan are an itch they can't scratch, at least there's the buffer zone of the Atlantic Ocean. But the confetti had barely been swept away from the Buckingham Palace New Year's Eve party when it all began to fall apart. First up was the shocking confirmation that the king is suffering from cancer. Precisely what kind of cancer and how serious his condition is remains unknown, though a Greek newspaper has reported that he has pancreatic cancer. I guess that's on par with the Russians reporting that King Charles is unalive. Like, okay, maybe they needed a juicy headline that day. Maybe it's not real. That's not great for his long-term prospects, to say nothing of his past statements on cancer treatment. What statements were those? And then there's the mysterious disappearance of Kate Middleton. She was rushed to hospital in mid-January for, quote, abdominal surgery. Or was it December 28th? And hasn't been seen since Christmas again. Or was it December 28th? Aside from some suspiciously vague platitudes, there's been no official confirmation of her status, and the lack of any concrete proof that she's alive has resulted in a deluge of speculation and conspiracy theories. Right? Throw in some misinformation and fake pictures and fake footage of people purporting to be William and Kate, then it just seems like there's just a complicated Bob Fosse dance of imposters and fakery to try to get the bloodhounds of social media off the scent, and it's not working. All this leaves the royal family in a very precarious position. If Charles does succumb to his cancer, William will become king far sooner than anyone ever expected. But if there really is some kind of cover-up about his wife's condition, to say nothing of William somehow being the cause of it, then there would be a ludicrous amount of drama and anger in the British public and press. What about Scotland Yard, MI6, Interpol, and yes, Hondo from SWAT? Should have been on the case, along with the gang from Criminal Minds and Law and Order SVU. This case could have been cracked months earlier if you had let all of the sharp, bright lights of investigation and crime fighting in the U.S., especially in the fiction world, get right on it. But no, they moved her to properties owned by the monarch instead of by the crown. No, people are dragging their feet about whatever happened to Thomas Kingston. Pippa's ex-boyfriend. No, the people from the Middleton family can't really comment about Kate, although Uncle Gary Goldsmith is running his mouth about Meghan and Harry real bad. Nothing to say about your niece? This many months later? Wow. In theory, a king or queen is immune from public opinion. They rule. Do they rule? They rule, or do they have just a station as a figurehead? They rule because they were born into the position. In practice, as the French can attest, a monarch can run afoul of public opinion and be removed rather quickly and violently. It's not quite time to dust off the guillotine yet, but make no mistake, if William's reputation were to catastrophically collapse to the point that his being king would threaten the existence of the crown itself, then it's time for abdication and for the 10-year-old George to become king. If that happened, a regent would need to be appointed to rule in George's stead until he turned 18, and under the 1937 Regency Act, guess who'd be called up to take the job? That means goodbye California for Harry and Meghan, and hello mind-bending scrutiny at the weakest the crown has been since the English Civil War. Well, maybe since the unaliving of Princess Diana. I don't know, English Civil War seems like a very long time ago. Given how much the British press despises the pair, the British press, not the British people, you would expect them to be met with a deluge of negative press. Well, that depends who's in charge of Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace. Those palaces have done the bidding of their principals, very specifically to distract the public from other things that were happening, be it the Rose Hanbury affair, the Cash for Honors scandal, or any other number of scandals involving a middle-aged man and a Caribbean island. And maybe an ex-television host / club DJ who liked to ride around in a white Rolls Royce and wear satin tracksuits, if you get my meaning. Given how much the British press despises the pair, you would expect them to be met with a deluge of negative press, to say nothing of having to juggle their relationship with a teenage King George. You'd be surprised how perceptive teenagers can be about the truth of their parents' character. If Harry said no, they'd have to turn to the next in line, none other than Jeffrey Epstein's BFF, Prince Andrew. And let's just say he comes with his own PR complications, to say the least, to say nothing of the fact that nobody wants him within a million miles of anyone's children ever again, but they're perfectly happy paying for his security, his free housing, his room and board, his food, his entertainment. Nobody's trying to strip his titles. No. Only Harry and Meghan's. Why is that exactly? I should like to know. Granted, Harry becoming regent and assuming direct control over the monarchy remains unlikely, but with Charles's condition and Kate's vanishing act, who really knows? We're still hoping for some actual announcements that would put the conspiracies to rest. But right now, everything is smoke and mirrors. Either way, if I were Harry, I'd keep an emergency bag packed just in case he needs to swoop in and save the monarchy.